Hey everybody, it's Mike, and I'm back, and going to talk about the Krishna Cult, and talk about this pedophile that they caught in Europe, and I'm going to explain about that because that just happened. So again, it's just more evidence that this stuff with this cult is going on today, now. And they want you to, if you're in, they want you to believe that all that stuff is in the past. And it's not in the past. It's happening now. And if you're on the outside, they want you to believe that it's all in the past and that, there's nothing to worry about. Your children are safe, and there's nothing wrong. And it's just not true. It's just as dangerous now as it's ever been. It's probably worse now. Because now, after years of putting into place all the mechanisms that it takes to cover up and defend and deal with the child abuse, they're more capable of dealing with it now, better, and protecting each other, moving people around, all of that. They've gotten better and better at it. So it's worse now than it was before. It's worse now because they're better at covering it up and defending and keeping their people safe and protecting each other. They're better at that now than ever before. Hey everybody, let's see, you got Danielle. Hey, I know it's early, it's late, but I know there's a lot of people in the US, and I'm thinking maybe that they want to get in on this too. So the predator is jailed. Yeah, I'm going to get to that. I'm going to get to the predators in jail in just a moment. But first, I think this if you're in the cult, you got this is directed to you. If you're in the cult, okay, they want you to believe that this whole philosophy of the holy name, and Krishna protects his devotees, and the power of the holy name, and it purifies and it protects, and Lord Nrsimhadev protects his disciples or his devotees, and Vishnu and with his chakra, and all of these things. And they want you to believe that the holy name is so powerful, and Lord Nrsimhadev is so powerful, and he protects and Krishna protects his devotees, and be fearless, like Lord Chaitanya was fearless, and he went up to the Kazi and he demonstrated, and all of these things. And you go out on Sankirtan, and you're going to go out into the midst of the karmis, and you're going to chant the holy name, and they're going to be agitated. The karmis are going to be agitated, and they're going to throw eggs at you, and they're going to do all these things. But Lord Chaitanya's there, and Lord Nityananda's there with you, chanting and everything, and you're protected. You're protected. Right? And they say all that. And they want you to think that they believe it. They don't believe it. Not when it comes down to it. Look what it says here. This is in Bangladesh, in India, in Calcutta. All right, they're saying ISKCON is telling its followers, avoid saffron, don't wear tilak. ISKCON Bangladesh monks followers to practice faith discreetly. And then it shows there's a Krishna temple, and it says, avoid saffron, hide tulsi beads, wipe off tilak, cover your head. That's the advice of ISKCON Kolkata has for their colleagues and followers in Bangladesh to avoid conflict in this current state of unrest in the neighboring country, where there have been growing incidents of violence against Hindu minorities and ISKCON monks. ISKCON Kolkata Vice President Radharaman Das said he was advising monks and members of the order to practice their faith inside temples and homes, but take extreme precaution when stepping outside. I have been advising all monks and members that in this hour of crisis, they must be very careful to protect themselves and avoid conflict. I have suggested they avoid wearing saffron clothes and vermilion on their foreheads. If they feel the need to wear saffron strings, they should wear them in a manner that remains hidden inside their clothes and not visible around their necks. If possible, they should also cover their heads. In short, they should take every possible measure that doesn't stand out as monks, said Das. Das added that he issued advisories after multiple monks and ISKCON members were allegedly threatened and assaulted in public last week. Some 63 ISKCON monks and Bangladeshi nationals wearing saffron were prevented from crossing over to India between Saturday and Sunday. Okay, so you get the idea. But the point is, the point I'm making is, if they really believe that they're empowered by Krishna and Prabhupada and the holy name, and Lord Chaitanya is there and he's present in the Sankirtan party, and Krishna says that he protects his devotee, and that it's his duty to fight and not worry about whether he lives or dies, but he fights. And it's not up to Arjuna what happens, whether he lives or dies, or he kills his cousins or his family members, or if he dies. That it's all Krishna's plan. So they don't actually believe that. Because if they did, they would be telling their followers, just go on with your life and Krishna will protect you. Krishna will protect you. Lord Chaitanya will protect you. Lord Nrsimhadev will definitely protect you. And you've got nothing to worry about. And even if something does happen to you, you're going back to Godhead. You're guaranteed a birth in the spiritual world, in Goloka Vrindavan. Well, don't even worry about it. Lord Chaitanya wasn't scared. Lord Chaitanya didn't hide when he was marching with the Sankirtan party up to the Qazi and arguing with the Qazi and saying, I can do this, civil disobedience. Prabhupada sat down in Tompkins Square Park in the midst of all the hippies and it's civil whatever in New York City in 1965 when there were civil rights demonstrations going on and so much distress and assassinations and Malcolm X being murdered and Medgar Evers and Watts riots and Detroit riots and Prabhupada sat right down in the middle of the Bowery, fearless, right? Prabhupada didn't care. But here, these guys, that just shows you, Prabhupada was an actual Hindu. He was a, megalomaniac cult leader, but he was still brought up. He was a Hindu, so he actually believed in his religion that he was preaching. He believed that he would take birth in in the spiritual world, or at least on another planet. He actually believed these things. These guys don't even believe that. These guys don't believe anything. They know it's just a scam. They know it's just a scam. So they know that there's no Lord Chaitanya going to protect them. They know there's no anything that's going to save them, and that if some mob comes in to to kill them, that ain't nothing going to happen. You're like, so when you see us run, don't ask why we're running. That's what they're saying. They're like, look, it's dangerous out there. You guys need to take care. Why? Why aren't they saying? Why aren't they telling them? Why aren't they telling them, be fearless like Lord Chaitanya, like Lord Nityananda, in the face of Jagai and Madai, when they threw the thing and broke it on through the pot and hit Lord Nityananda in the head? and Lord Chaitanya was like, oh, why aren't they saying that? Why aren't they saying, we'll stand up and protect our temple, we'll protect our deities, we'll fight to protect Prabhupada's murti? Why aren't they saying all that? Bunny 559. Hello, Bunny B. How you doing? Why aren't they telling them to just have faith in what they're told to believe? Why aren't they telling them just have faith in what we're telling you to believe in? Why are they telling them to run and hide? Prabhupada's devotees are fearless. Why are they telling them to run and hide? I mean, I understand it's dangerous. I'm not saying they shouldn't run and hide. I mean, if they were smart, they would just leave the cult and just bounce out completely. So I'm not saying they shouldn't run and hide. I'm saying, why isn't the cult telling them to have faith in the cult teachings? Just put more beads on. Chant more. I found you last night. I agree with your comments and questions. You have Hare Krishna stuff your Hare Krishna sounded interesting. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. If you find it interesting and you agree, definitely try to spread the word. I just get my videos out there so that more people can learn about this, because there are other places where you can learn about the Hare Krishnas, but I'm doing it in real time right now, up to date, and I don't know anyone else that's doing that. So I really would appreciate it to get the word out to other people. But thank you. So anyway, so I wanted to get that out there, because that is an example of how the cult, it's just a bunch of bullshit. And I know, because I was in it for 20 years. I know. It's Emperor's New Clothes. Everyone's like, oh, I'm chanting Prabhu, I'm chanting. And everybody's, and it's like, oh, I'm chanting, and I'm going to Kirtan, I'm distributing books, I'm doing all this, it's ecstasy, oh, I'm in ecstasy, oh, it's transcendental bliss, and all this stuff. Meanwhile, it's not. It's not. It's no different. It's no different than regular anything else that you would be doing in life. Just that you're doing it there. The same mental struggles, the same doubts and questions, the same hardships, money issues, the same relationship, all the same stuff. You're just doing it there in a cult. There's no solution. There's no easy street or anything. There's just mental Emperor's New Clothes. Oh, I'm going through all this hardship, so I must be spiritually advanced, like they say. The more I detach from material life, the more spiritually advanced I am. And since I'm so detached from material comforts, I must therefore be spiritually advanced. I mean, isn't that the formula? Isn't that what it says in the books? Isn't that what it says in the lectures? Isn't that what it says every single day on every single page in every single conversation? Well, then I must be spiritually advanced, because I'm sleeping on the floor in a sleeping bag, and I'm eating nuts and berries in the morning, and I gotta be spiritually advanced. I'm going to India and I'm living a hard life with monkeys and cows and whatever, and getting sick and drinking bad water and getting sick and spending 2 weeks in bed. I must be spiritually advanced. They keep telling me, well, that's karma. You're burning off karma. You're advancing. What the fuck is that? That's the biggest bunch of bullshit. I go with many Christians, always heard from older generations, not in the community, that it was culty. Yeah, it is culty. I grew up around Hare Krishnas, not around them. Like they, the temple was in my neighborhood, and they shopped at the stores, and they were always we'd see them walking around when I was a kid growing up. And I knew it was kind of a, I knew it was kind of, I knew it was culty. It was a cult. It was some kind of weird thing. But then when I was an adult and I actually met another adult who was one, and met this guy and became friends and actually read a book, it didn't seem so culty. You know, it was presented more like Indian culture, Indian religion, Hinduism, kind of, Hinduism, spirituality, spiritual path, kind of new agey, but ancient, ancient new age stuff. I don't know how to explain it. It's something for everybody. If you want to think of it as new age, it can be new age. If you want to think of it as ancient and old and like really, you got that too. So then it became not so culty, but it is culty. But they kind of use that Indian culture. Well, it's Indian culture. How can it be a cult when it's really just, Bhagavad Gita? That's not a cult, Bhagavad Gita. And everybody knows, Vishnu. It's not all Indians who are Hindus, you would say, are in a cult. But so the Hare Krishnas kind of play on that, where hey, we're not a cult. That's just what people think, that because they don't understand Indian culture. They don't understand Indian religion. They don't understand meditation and mantras and karma and Sanatana Dharma, and then they start using all these words like Sanatana Dharma and Varnashram and transcendental meditation. They don't understand that, so they think it's a cult. But we're not a cult. We're just happy people that are chanting Hare Krishna. So it's people get sucked in. Get sucked in. I mean, it was exciting. It seemed cool to me by the way they lived, dressed, guarded. Yeah, it is. It is. It's interesting. You go, wow. Well, what is to that? What is it? What do they see? What's making them do that? And then meeting someone who used to do that. They don't do that anymore, but they're still into it. And then and meeting that person like on the outside as a normal person, but they're not normal. They're a Hare Krishna. But they appear to be a normal person, and then they kind of groom. I got kind of groomed, not really groomed, but he knew what he was doing. He knew what he was doing, just like I would do the same thing. Once I got into it, it was like if I met somebody and I met somebody at work and they were like, hey, what's that about Krishna? I was like, ooh, okay. Well, here's a book and this is that and blah, 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 and I'm trying to get them, I'm trying to get them in. So he definitely did that to me. And it works. I mean, it's not hard. Because it's got that Indian culture thing to it. It's, and you love their names too. Yeah, it's always great when you can live life as another person without giving up your real name. And you feel special because you got this name. I had a name, and I thought I was special because I had this name. Because everybody's got a name. And you don't have a name. And it's like, well, everybody's got a name, and I'm just Mike. It's kind of, So yeah, I want a name. I want a name. It's so stupid. It's so stupid, but it's definitely, a psychological device. It's a cult. It's a cult. What can I say? Now about this guy that's in jail. So check this out. This is something. Again, this comes from the Hare Krishna webpage. Oh, you lived in Badger. Okay, you lived in I lived near Synanon in Badger. So I used to go to Badger, and I knew a bunch of those. I knew a bunch of the Badger people up there back in the '90s. A name is like a badge of honor, or so some of the older generation. Ex Hare Krishna is come. Well, it a name is definitely it's like a badge of honor, but it's a God, I had the perfect term and I just lost it. It's a it shows it kind of shows how dedicated you are to it. You know, like you got you and it's a it's definitely it's like you're in the club. Once you have your name, you're in the club. I know Three Rivers. I knew a bunch of devotees up there. Most of them have passed away. Most of them have passed away. Like, at least 4 or 5 of the devotees that I knew in Badger back in the 90s have passed away. Krishna Kata, Dasi, Radhakunda Das. I can't remember a couple of them because they weren't friends of mine, but I knew them. The ones you were friends with born when they, yeah, the second generation kids. I knew the people that I knew were the parents of the second generation kids that were growing up in Badger. Like, actually, I would call them third generation because most of the second generation kids, like the first group of kids in the schools in the late 60s and early 70s and the 70s. So those kids that were in the schools in the 70s are like my age now. Those kids are like my age. So when I started hanging around the Hare Krishnas in the early 90s, I met kids that had grown up in it, and they were like the same age as me and maybe a few years older than me. But they were like my age. And then I met people that were my age that had joined when they were like 16, 17, 18. Or were maybe just a few years older than me. Like, most of my friends were original Prabhupada disciples who joined in the late 60s and early 70s, which would make them 5 to 10 years older than me. Those are my friends. Prabhupada disciples that joined in the 60s and 70s. And those are the people that I was hanging around with in Badger and in LA. And some of them had kids. So those were the second generation kids. But now there's a whole nother generation. There's a third and fourth generation of kids now. Like, my daughter would be considered a third generation kid. She was hanging around with but it's all, second generation kids in the Hare Krishnas could mean anyone from 10 years old to 70 years 70 years old. Who knows? I mean, it's just, who knows? But those kids are really messed up. They were abused. They were traumatized. They never got any assistance. They never got any therapy. They just had to deal with it. They were either abused, or they witnessed abuse, and they have to live with that their whole lives, and it's traumatizing. And some of them, at least 25 kids have committed suicide because of this friggin' cult, because of what this cult put them through in their schools. I remember getting jealous when my friends were going to the temple in LA, even though I had no clue what they did there. Yeah, it was. My daughter was in the school in L.A. She was in the day school there, and again, that's one of the. It's one of the reasons why I say no kid is safe in the Hare Krishnas, even if they're in a day school, even if you're just taking them to the restaurant for lunch, even if you're doing anything at a Hare Krishna temple. Taking your kids around there is dangerous. You should not be taking your kids. Kids are not safe there. Whether it's whether you're just going there for the Sunday feast, to the restaurant, it's just not. And your kids are more likely to get abused. Something happened to your kids at a Hare Krishna temple than it is anywhere else. The chances of something happening to your kids at a Hare Krishna temple go up. Anything happening to your kid goes up the closer they are to a Hare Krishna temple, because there's just too many unknown characters running around. They don't police. They don't protect their kids, so they don't care. They don't care who's running around there. Look at this. So this is going to get us to the next story right here. It's coming again from the Hare Krishna webpage, where this insane Hare Krishna documents all the crazy things in the Hare Krishnas, and he has no clue that he's actually he's speaking out against the cult from inside the cult, and doesn't even recognize that. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. So you knew some kids that took their own lives. Yeah, I worked for ITV, and the owner of ITV, his son committed suicide. I went to the funeral. So I was there the day. I was there when he found out that his son committed suicide. I was there. He started crying. He was on the phone. He got on the phone. My son just got. It was traumatizing at the time for me. I witnessed this guy finding out that his son committed suicide, and at the time I didn't really understand what was going on, because I didn't know his son had been abused in the Gurukul. I didn't know him that well. All I knew was that his son committed suicide, and he that was it. He was, going to the hospital or going wherever, and that was traumatizing at the time. I mean, I don't think about it now, but it's and then I went to the funeral. It was in Brentwood. And because he was in high school. He was like 17, 17, 18 years old. It was really sad. It was, so this must have been like 95, 94, 95 when that happened. And so here, protecting our it says protecting our children, which is just ridiculous. Protecting our children. So I'm going to read this to you, and let's see. It says, we have recently been informed of an alarming situation. An individual known for being too friendly with children was defended in the Barcelona temple by temple authorities. It even went to the extreme of pressuring the person who reported and warned of the dangers of offenses, and to apologize to the offender. Now, you got to ask yourself, like, why? And that's what I did. Like, when it happened to me, and they were telling me, well, there's, Prabhu, there's nothing we can do to the guy, to this pedophile. There's nothing we can do to him because he hasn't been charged with a crime. He hasn't been found guilty of a crime. And there's just nothing we can do to him. Like, they weren't going to kick him out of the community. They weren't going to do anything to him. Like, they didn't care that he had molested my daughter and that he was around kids in the community and that other kids were in danger. They didn't care. In fact, they were upset with me because I went to the police. So I'm like, well, why would that... What's wrong with this picture? What's wrong with this picture? All right, now that was 1996. So that was almost 30 years ago, right? 29 years ago. And here, the same exact thing is going on, happened in Barcelona just recently. An individual known for being too friendly with children, and they're putting the friendly in quotation marks because we know what that means, for being too friendly with children, was defended in the Barcelona temple by temple authorities. It even went to the extreme of pressuring the person who reported and warned of the danger of offenses and to apologize. I mean, it makes no sense. This is a spiritual organization that's supposed to have that's supposed to have higher standards and like a higher level of understanding and God consciousness and spirituality, and we have Paramatma in the heart, and devotees are all this crap. All this crap doesn't mean anything when a child is molested and they protect the predator. Where is this power of the holy name and all of this stuff, and the Shringadev and Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda? Why isn't that child being protected? Why is Lord Shringadev and Lord Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya and Krishna and Prabhupada allowing these little children to be molested by these perverts in a temple, in a Gurukula school, and then they protect them? Why? Because it's in the books. Don't make offense. Even if a person does abominable things, if he's chanting Hare Krishna, you got to regard him as being saintly. It's in the books. And don't make any aparad. Don't make any offense. Who are you to say that this guy molested some girl? Who are you? How do we know your little girl didn't do something? How do we know your little girl didn't jump on his lap? How do we know your little girl's not the cause of him grabbing her ass and putting his hand down her pants? How do we know your little girl didn't do that? Fucking disgusting is that. They don't give a shit about kids. You're gonna sit there and tell me they give a shit about kids? That's what they told me. That's what the community was saying behind our back. She must have done something. Well, look at her. She's 11, but she looks like she's 13. It's in the text that if a saintly person does abominable things and he's fixed in chanting the holy name, you have to excuse him. It's Bhagavad Gita chapter 9 verse 30. and then read the purport. And that's their excuse. That's why they excuse everything. They turn around and they go, well, this Lokanath Swami has done so much service for Krishna. What have you done? How dare you accuse him of touching a little girl? Who the fuck are you to accuse this great saintly man of touching a little girl? Who are you? So they had to apologize to this guy. They had to apologize to this guy and say, well, we're sorry we accused you of molesting little kids. They knew he molested the little kids. But they were so brainwashed that they would apologize to this guy rather than going, fuck this cult. They knew that this guy molested some little kids, and they knew that the temple was sticking up for him, and they didn't have the balls nor the brains to say, what the fuck are we doing in this cult? And I have to admit, to a certain degree, I was the same way. My daughter got molested by this guy. They told me there's nothing we can do. He hasn't been convicted of a crime. But I didn't just roll over. I protested. I spoke out. I tried to confront the guy when I could find him. I wasn't successful in that. And because of that, I wasn't welcome really in the temple. I wasn't able to do what I was doing before. It wasn't the same. So then I went with the Ritviks because they were telling me, see, that's what's wrong with ISKCON. That's what's wrong. These guys are wrong. We understand the truth. These guys don't understand. And I believe that. I didn't realize that it's in the books. It's in the teachings. It's all the crap that's in the books that causes all the bullshit. It doesn't matter what guru. It doesn't matter if it's Prabhupada or it's Indrajumna Swami or this Swami or that Swami. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's a Ritvik Swami, Yashodanandan, or Madhu Pandit, or Krishna Cult, or Chanchalapati, or any of them. It doesn't matter. Because they're reading the same fucking books. They believe the same fucking crap. They act the same fucking way. They don't give a shit about anybody. They don't give a shit about kids. They don't give a shit. All the while sitting around going, oh, well, we want to protect our kids. What does it say right here? We want to protect our kids. And this is all written by people that pretend like they care about kids. But they don't. Because if they did, they wouldn't give a fuck about this cult. They'd say this cult is fucking with kids. They got to speak out about this cult. No, instead, they're apologizing to the offender. They're apologizing to the predator. Staying quiet about it. Sikviks they're all the same. They don't have the brains. They don't have the balls. Absolutely. And there's a lot of people. I watch these videos all the time. I watch these videos about people that leave ISKCON. And at least 50% of them don't even talk about all this crap. They don't know about all this crap. They talk about, well, I couldn't chant. I didn't want to get up at 4:30 in the morning. And I didn't want to chant all day. And, I'm gay, and they don't like gays, so I bounced out. Or, it wasn't for me. I got tired of it. I couldn't chant my rounds. I couldn't chant my rounds, and I was smoking cigarettes, so I couldn't follow the four regulative principles. So I just bounced out. Or, um, you know, I couldn't follow the four regulative principles. Whatever. My guru fell down, and I decided, I just most people that leave Hare Krishna, they don't even know that they were part of a pedophile cult that promotes that women like to get raped, women are less intelligent, black people should remain in the jungles, Abraham Lincoln should never have freed the slaves, black people shouldn't have been given civil rights, black people are just drunkards, and if you build a library, they're just going to go there to drink. And they don't give a shit about their kids. I mean, what more? All right, hey, buddy. Come back next time. Check me out and come back and we'll talk again. What more do you need? What more do you need? Let me get back to this. So this it says here in this thing. It says now this predator is in prison in Germany awaiting trial. Well, that's a good thing. But it's in Germany. So this was going on in Spain, in Barcelona. All this molestation, whatever was happening, alleged molestation, whatever was happening in Barcelona, in the Barcelona temple. Somehow he skipped out of Barcelona. He ended up in Germany, and he got apprehended in Germany for what? I don't know. But here's what it says: the mother of the abused boy. So it was an abused boy. The mother of the abused boy called the temple and communicated the matter to Dwarka's wife, the commissioner. But they gave long-time protection of the predator. Same thing happened at the new Rajmandala estate. Some people expressed concerns about the individual's proximity to minors, but nothing was done. So it's not like this was a one-time thing. It never is. I've been around. I was in the Hare Krishnas for 20 years. I left in 2012. It took me a while to leave. It wasn't like I just left. I did leave just one day, but it was like a good 6-8 months leading up to that one day. But so after that, I still stayed. I was still in a even though I left, I was still in a weird state of mind where I was angry and I wanted to get back at them. And so I was monitoring what they were doing because they were talking about me, they were smearing me, there was a smear campaign against me and all of this stuff on the same page that I'm reading from. This guy was writing about me on this page. But anyway, so there was about a good 9 months, maybe a year after I left, where I was still like monitoring them because I was still in this weird, frame of mind. I just left this cult. I was traumatized, but I didn't realize how traumatized I was after 20 years in this friggin' cult. And then after about a year or so, I pretty much just cold turkey cut everything off. I stopped looking at what they were doing. I stopped paying attention to what they were doing. I just went in another direction. But I've seen the same story the whole time, where these guys get caught. A guru or a sannyasi or a temple president or a school teacher, it doesn't matter. They get caught. But it's not like they got caught. Well, they got caught, but it's not like they just got caught. Once they're caught, then it comes out that, like, well, they were accused of something in Dallas, and then they were accused of something in New York, and then there were some people in Detroit that there was a family in Detroit that said that the guy did something. So then you find out that there was all of these allegations leading up to them getting caught. You think they just got caught, like, oh, he touched a girl, and now he touched a bunch of kids before. He only got caught for that one kid. I've seen it so many times. Because that's how these pedophiles are. It's not like a one-time thing. It's not like, oh, it's not like they're experimenting with little boys. You know, I want to see what it's like to have a little boy, and then they go and they molest a little boy, and then they go, oh, that's not for me, and that's not what happened. It's a sickness that can take years to develop and manifest, and then it's repeat behavior. That's why they have to move around, because they can't keep doing the same thing in the same place. They'll get caught. They can't stop. They can't stop. So, after this guy ends up in jail in Germany, it comes out that there's been all kinds of allegations about this guy, and nobody's ever done anything. That is like total negligence. That's like purposely putting kids in danger. If you know that there's a predator in your temple community, you don't do anything about it. You don't let anybody know. You're enabling this person to do it again. Now, how is that not a pedophile cult? If you know that there's a pedophile, there's a predator, a sexual predator, and it doesn't really even matter what kind of. It could be a guy who beats up his girlfriend, beats up his wives all the time, like Narayan. He used to beat up he's been married 7 times, he beat up every wife he had. And everybody knew about it. That's what blows my mind. They used to tell me all the time, oh, Narayan, he used to beat up his wife. He's beat up all of his wives. And I'm just like, you say it like it's you say it like he went on a fishing trip and he used to catch all the biggest fish. Hey, Narayan, we used to go fishing all the time and he used to catch all the biggest fish. That's how they would tell it. Hey, that's Narayan. He used to beat up all his wives, and Prabhupada said he was nuts. Prabhupada said he was crazy because he used to beat up all his wives. What the fuck? Beating up wives, molesting kids, beating up kids. These teachers in the Gurukul, they used to beat up the kids. When they weren't effing them, they were beating them. Can you imagine the mental friggin' trauma that they killed them. A bunch of them killed themselves. The trauma of being in a friggin' concentration camp of little kids where they're being beaten and molested and raped by adults and other kids, like every day of their life. Kids that were born in the U.S. end up in a goddamn concentration camp in India, getting molested and beaten and eating rotten food and being tortured because they don't want to chant Hare Krishna? These people are fucking sick. These people knew that this guy was molesting kids. Not only in Barcelona. And they don't care. They didn't tell anybody. They don't care. They don't care. How can you tell me that you have a child protection office, you protect children, when you got a predator in your community and you're not notifying anybody? There were at least 2 predators in the LA temple, probably more. I mean, seriously, probably more. There were 2 predators in the LA temple on Watsika Avenue in Los Angeles, living in the community, at least 2. And I guarantee you there were more. At least 2 that I knew of. And no one told me that they were there, and they knew that they were there. The temple president knew. The temple commander knew. The guy in the bookstore knew. The guy, the Sura, the head of the book BBT, he knew. They all knew. Because that guy was one of them. He was one of them. So of course they all knew. And they banned him from being able to do anything in the temple, but they let him live in the community. They let him stay there. He could come and go as he pleased. So every one of them knew what he did, because they knew that he wasn't allowed to get on the altar. They knew he wasn't allowed to cook in the kitchen. But other than that, he could do whatever he wanted. Both of them. Do whatever they wanted. So every single person in that temple that knew those 2 guys knew what they did, because they knew that they weren't allowed in the temple anymore. But they didn't tell anybody. They didn't tell anybody. They kept it a secret. Here I come with my daughter. My 6-year-old daughter. Doop-de-doop-de-doop-de-doop. And she's only in the day school. She wasn't in a boarding school. I dropped her off. I went to work at the temple, and I picked her up in the afternoon and took her home. I was there the whole time. They allow that. This cult allows it. That is enabling. That is enabling predatory behavior. What else do you call it? Look at this guy. If you look at the picture of this guy, okay? This is the temple. This is the guy. This is the Swami. This is the head of the temple, the head of the GBC for that area. That's the head ISKCON guy having dinner with the predator sitting right next to him. Predator sitting right next to him. They all know. It says here, to go on, it says, despite the alarm sounds that emerged, these were sadly repeatedly ignored. In the photo, you can see him next to the highest authority in Spain, Yadunandan Swami. It is not a coincidence. No, it is not a coincidence. These individuals know how to create an image of goodness, kindness, service, and smiles to hide their demonic nature. But why does this person who's writing this think that it's just these two guys? And where do you think that these two guys are getting this idea from? Somebody has put in their heads that it's okay to do what they're doing. And it's not just one person. It's not just the one guy trying to get away with something. It's a whole culture of allowing it to happen. It's a whole culture of allowing this behavior. It's not a one-off thing. It's not like this one guy came in and did it and this. No, they're covering for each other. They're all consciously aware of what is happening. No one's being fooled. No one's being duped. They know. They're hearing allegations. Many of them. And yet the guy's having dinner with him. Then the guy ends up in jail in Germany, and it's like, see what happens? The writer goes on. He presents himself as an extremely good, helpful, and pleasant devotee to be able to carry out his predatory purposes. No. He wants you to think, this person wants you to think that this guy's a predator and he joined the Hare Krishnas so he could prey on people. No, you don't have to join the Hare Krishnas to prey on people. You can. Why? I don't need to follow 4 regulative principles. Get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. Chant 16 rounds every day. Go to the temple and eat whatever that, some nuts and berries in the morning, and then go eat something at dinner. And then a glass of milk at night. Starve myself like that. Just so I can molest some children. That's what they want you to think. They want you to think it's not women are less intelligent and women like to be raped and all that sexist, racist stuff about 11-year-old girls make the best wives. 11-year-old girls must be married to 24-year-old men. Look, if Prabhupada says that an 11-year-old girl must be married to a 24-year-old man, that must mean that it's okay for a 24-year-old man to have sex with an 11-year-old girl. There's no other explanation. And if it's okay to have sex with an 11-year-old girl, it's just a little jump over to have sex with an 11-year-old boy. These guys are sick, I'm telling you, man. I'm not making it up. It's all right here. Okay, so he presents himself as an extremely good, helpful, pleasant devotee to be able to carry out his predatory purposes. No. But the situation is aggravated by learning that the same individual has fixed his legal address in the Barcelona temple in Plaza Real, led by Mario Condon, the legal responsible. In that court procedure, 8 cases of pedophilia are open. See the document in the comments. And in addition, he worked in the restaurant on Diputación Street in Barcelona, owned by the same Mario Condon, which raises serious questions about the ability and responsibility of his director, the same person who sheltered him, gave him work, and protected him both in the temple and in his restaurant. It's not rocket science. They should just use some critical thinking and evaluate it from a proper moral compass. If it is wrong, it's wrong. There are no two ways about it. Yes, but the cult has them screwed up into thinking that you don't know what's wrong. There's no way to say if it's wrong, because they got you thinking that you don't know what's wrong. That only Prabhupada knows what's wrong. Prabhupada's books are the law books for the next 10,000 years. So there is no right and wrong except what is in Prabhupada's books. So if Prabhupada says 11-year-old girls make the best wives and must be married before puberty to 24-year-old men, then that's not wrong. Right and wrong is determined by if it's in Prabhupada's books or not. If it's in Prabhupada's books, then it's right. If it's not in Prabhupada's books, then it's wrong. So they're brainwashed. Otherwise, why would a woman marry her 13-year-old daughter off to a man she doesn't even know? Why would a woman do that? Why would a mom marry her 13-year-old daughter that just got raped, marry that 13-year-old daughter off to a 26-year-old man that she doesn't even know, so that man can take that 13-year-old girl to India? Where does that woman get the idea that that is totally normal? Prabhupada's books. Because there is no other place. There is no place where that's normal. It's just not. Anywhere else in the world, a 13-year-old girl is raped behind behind the stage of a festival, at a Hare Krishna festival, left in the dirt, and the guy goes back on stage and sings. That girl needs help. She needs therapy. She probably needs to go to the police. She probably needs a rape test done. She probably needs, counseling at least. I mean, my daughter wasn't raped. And my daughter got like 6 months of counseling. And she was just, touched inappropriately. And my daughter got 6 months of counseling courtesy of the LAPD. So I'm sure the girl that was raped behind the stage at the Hare Krishna festival and left in the dirt, got up, brushed herself off, didn't even know what had happened. I'm sure maybe she could have used some counseling. Just maybe. So I want to go back. So there were 8 cases of pedophilia that this guy was 8 cases of pedophilia. And these people were protecting him. He was a repeat predator, a repeat child predator. Sounds like he was preying on little boys, because the one was with a little boy. So here's this grown man preying on little boys. At least 8 cases. And these people are protecting him. Why? Why are they protecting this guy? I mean, there's so much to unpack. Where does this guy get the idea that he's in a spiritual thing and he can just start molesting boys? It has no shame. And why are they protecting him? I mean, this doesn't even happen like in a public school or in an office in a or a private school. I mean, these people are turned into the police. So I don't know how he got caught, but evidently somebody finally turned him in, called the police. So let's look at this guy, this Yadunandan Swami guy. Okay, who is he, right? The guy that's been protecting him in the Barcelona temple. Who's this guy? Well, Yadunandan Swami. He's the principal of the Bhakti-Vedanta College. He's the first Spanish second-generation sannyasi of ISKCON. He was approved by ISKCON's GBC body in February of 2009 as an ISKCON sannyasi. He's one of the original developers of the VTE, Vaishnav Training and Education courses, and is currently an executive member of the governing body commission, Ministry of Educational Development. So this guy's an educator, supposedly. He's the principal of the school, the college, the Bhakti-Vedanta College. He's a sannyasi, so that means he's supposed to know stuff. He was approved by the GBC. And he's one of the original developers of the Vaishnav Training and Education courses. So he's teaching other people how to be teachers and educators in ISKCON. And he's an executive member of the governing body commission on the Ministry of Education, Educational Development. He's like one of the top educators in the ISKCON cult, if not the top educator. He's the principal of the Bhakti-Vedanta College. He's the principal of the I think that's called the dean. I don't know. I think in the real world they call that the dean or the president, but here he's the principal of the Bhakti-Vedanta College. He's the developer of the Vaishnav Training and Education course, and he's an executive member of the governing body commission, Ministry of Education. He's like one of the top educators in ISKCON, and he's protecting a pedophile in his temple. The top educator, the principal of the Bhakti-Vedanta College, is protecting, or was protecting, a pedophile in his temple, and that pedophile is now, or alleged pedophile, accused pedophile, is now in jail awaiting trial with 8 counts against him. So while he was being protected by ISKCON, he was able to rack up 8 counts. 8 counts. This guy's a serial predator. And these guys are protecting him. The head of the ISKCON Ministry of Education is protecting, or was protecting, this guy. What fucking world is this? And so this guy, I don't know what I don't know. Okay, so now let's listen to this guy, this crazy Hare Krishna, who exposes this stuff. Now I gotta have to give him credit for exposing this stuff because it saves me a lot of work. I don't have time to research this crap. It's important, but I don't have time to research all this stuff. I don't have all the connect. I'm not a Hare Krishna insider journalist, wannabe journalist, gossip columnist, troll, because that's what he is. I'm an ex Hare Krishna. I'm an ex Hare Krishna troll. But anyway, I gotta give him credit for doing this stuff. But these people are insane. How are you part of this? Where your cult, the head of your cult's education department, is protecting pedophiles. How can you trust your kids in a cult where the head of the school is protecting predators? I mean, you can't make this up. I mean, if I came on here, if this didn't really happen, and I just came on here and I said, hey man, watch out for these Hare Krishnas, because the head of their school, he protects this, he's protecting this predator that has 8 counts. You would say, you're insane. If I didn't have any evidence, if it wasn't on the internet and I was just telling you this, people would be like, what? Show me where that there's no way. And I would be like, I can't show you, but I heard it. I just know because I heard somebody tell me. And you'd be like, there's no friggin' way. But I can show you. You've got a written statement published on the internet and then republished, and then this guy's even going to comment on it because he's the one who got the text or the message, the email, whatever. So he says, so now the crazy Hare Krishna is going to comment on what I just told you. And he says, so he's speaking to the other cult members. He's speaking to other cult members, and he says, so here we go again, pilgrims. Yadunandan Swami, a disciple of Satsvarup, and approved by Prahladānanda, Indradyumna, Hridaya Chaitanya, Kadamba Karana, Jayadvaita, et al., all the usual suspects. And he is in charge of various ISKCON departments and devotees and their children. So he's right on about that. He's right on about that. And then he continues. But yeah, the first problem is that the whistleblowers are repressed. He's right about that. And that protects the perps. He's right about that. Very sad that people have to expose these things externally, and ISKCON has no good mechanisms to fix these things internally. He's right about that. People keep asking, why does he expose this dirty laundry externally and publicly and not bring it to them internally? Okay, they're right about that. But to our benefit, he doesn't keep it internal. He doesn't keep it internal. To our benefit, my benefit and your benefit, he doesn't keep it internal. But they're asking him, why doesn't he? And he says, well, I don't know. Let's just start with, our folks are often banned, if not beaten, sued, chased with bats, and sometimes killed. He does have a martyr complex. He wants to be martyr. He wants to be martyred for this because his friend actually was killed by the Hare Krishnas for exposing this. His friend was killed. And I have sympathy for that. I don't want to see anybody killed, anybody's friend killed. But he reminds everybody that his friend was killed and he could have been next. But let me tell you, if they wanted to get him, they would have got him. Okay, that's just seriously. Anyway, so he says, really, he teaches the history of sannyas. Oh boy, here we go again, part 2. Illicit sex with men, women, and children, drinking vodka, watching porno, gambling in Reno, and yeah, I am missing 100 other deviations, but don't have the space to include the whole encyclopedia of their history herein. So he's right about that. These people have a history of doing all of those things, even though some of them, like drinking whiskey or watching porno, is not really, I mean, it's not a big deal. But to them it is. When your cult says you're not supposed to be doing that, then yeah, that's a big deal. So that's why he brings that stuff up. But for us, drinking vodka, watching porno, and gambling in a casino is not a big deal to us because we're not in a cult. But to them it is. To him it is. So anyway, but that is besides the point. It's the molesting of the children that gets me. Okay? Let's not lose focus. So he goes on and he says, let's just say there are good reasons that bad people are often protected by this group, i.e., bad people protect other bad people. Hey, guess what? Take these things to the police and the media and do not bother with them anymore. They are not interested. He's right about that. So he's right that they should go to the police about it. He's saying that because he knows that they don't go to the police about that. Okay. He's admitting, now he's one of them. He's admitting that these bad people are often protected by this group. He says, let's just say there are good reasons that bad people are often protected by this group. Bad people protect other bad people. I don't understand what he's saying there. He's saying there are good reasons that bad people are often protected by this group. Bad people protect other bad people. That's not a good reason. That's not a good reason. I don't understand what he's saying there, but he's right that people do need to go to the police and the media. And he's saying that because they don't go to the police and the media. He doesn't even go to the police and the media. He'd rather sit on here and make up lies and stories than actually do something. Because to do something is to actually, you have to change this. And it's a cult. You can't. He wants to place the blame somewhere other than women like to be raped, women are less intelligent, blacks belong in the jungle, blacks are less intelligent, blacks are drunkards and drug addicts and should never have been given civil rights. And let me just remind you, when Prabhupada says, when they asked Prabhupada about is everybody equal, Prabhupada says, of course not, everybody's not equal. Some people are master and some people are servants. That is just the way it is. Now, the reporter did not follow up and say, well, who's the master and who's the servants? And who decides that? But Prabhupada made it clear that in the human form of life, in our material world, we're not all equal. Some people are masters and some people are servants. Now, who do you think he considers the masters and who do you think he considers the servants? You think it's the people he says should never have come out of the jungles? The people that he says are just drunkards and should never have been given civil rights and they only cause disturbance and are third class? And that Abraham Lincoln should never have freed the slaves? You think maybe he's talking about those people? Or the servants and the white people? or the non-African people are the masters? You think that's what he's getting at? That's what I know. That's what he's saying. I don't have to guess. I already know the answer to the question. But I'm getting off topic. I want to follow up with one thing here. I want to follow up with this video about the children and what Prabhupada did about child abuse. Where do you think Prabhupada himself looks like an African, to be honest with you? Yes. I've had many African Americans look at a picture of Prabhupada and say, who's that black man? Many times. Yeah. So, but a lot of Hare Krishnas, they want to say that Prabhupada was very protective of the children, and he did this and he did that and blah 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 blah. But let's look at what Prabhupada really did when it came to the children. So we're gonna do this quick little video here. Let's see what it says.
Hi, my name is Henry Jolicoeur. I'm a French-Canadian psychotherapist, and my special field of interest is brainwashing and mind control by cults. The abuse that the student in the Hare Krishna schools received in the 1970s and beginning of 1980s. Nearly 1,000 students were or physically abused or sexually abused. And of those that have been sexually abused, at least 25 have committed suicide. One of the example is this young man. His name is Gokulananda. He committed suicide at age 36. He was raised in the commune of New Vrindavan, went to school in the Hare Krishna school in New Vrindavan, and it has been proven that he was beaten black and blue while in school. He was sexually abused, sodomized, had to give oral sex to the teachers in the commune of New Vrindavan that was under the leadership of the pedophile Swami Kirtanananda, a lifelong homosexual and pedophile. As a psychotherapist, I know the terrible effect that sexual abuse has on the subconscious mind. It is something that will affect the victim every day of their life for the rest of their life. And this sexual abuse by teachers of the Hare Krishna movement was widespread. In India, in the holiest city of the Hare Krishna movement, Vrindavan, there was a schools where the sexual abuse was horrendous, where little boys, 6, 7, 8-year-old, had to have sex with their teacher in order to eat. And there also, the children were beaten black and blue. Many people in the Hare Krishna movement are now saying it was the fault of this one and that one. Of that pedophile and this other pedophile. It had nothing to do with the leader of the Hare Krishna movement, Swami Bhakti-Vedanta. I believe that this is a lie. It is a cover-up. The Hare Krishna movement wants to paint Swami Bhaktivedanta as pure and saintly, that knew absolutely nothing the sexual abuses that were happening on a daily basis. But there's a story by a man called Bhagavat that you see the picture here. In the last year of his life, Swami Bhaktivedanta was in Allahabad, India, and the leaders of the Vrindavan temple had discovered that one of the teacher had sexually molested most of the kids. So they decided to bring that pedophile to Bhaktivedanta Swami to be punished. And when Swami Bhaktivedanta finally met the pedophile and heard of all the stories of sexual abuse, he simply told the pedophile to leave his Hare Krishna movement. But he told him that he could come back on Sunday to have a little food if he wanted to. He didn't call the police. He didn't send for psychological help for the children. Absolutely nothing. Till the very end, Swami Bhaktivedanta wanted the world to know that his religion was the best in the world, that he had the best schools in the world, that he had the best managers of his temple and schools in the world. If the press in India would have learned that the Vrindavan schools of the Hare Krishna was crawling with pedophiles, and that the children would have to give sexual service in order to eat, it would have been a national scandal. So Bhaktivedanta Swami just kept things quiet without requesting any of the leaders of the Hare Krishna movement to go help the children that were in such pain. So to say that Swami Bhaktivedanta did not know anything about the sexual abuse in the schools is complete lie, complete deceit. The Hare Krishna movement wants to paint him as a saint, pure and perfect. Actually, the present leaders of the Hare Krishna movement are in power because they're supposed to represent in the purest fashion possible the teaching of Swami Bhaktivedanta. Nobody wants to tell the world that Swami Bhaktivedanta knew very well that hundreds of kids were sexually abused. Unfortunately, Swami Bhaktivedanta taught that the chanting of the mantra Hare Krishna was the remedy for everything. He did not believe in psychologists. He did not believe in psychology. He did not believe in healing the subconscious mind with the help of psychologists. For him to invite psychologists to heal the student that were sexually abused would have been against his principle. Plus, the last thing he wanted is the kids to tell doctors and professionals that their teachers were sexually abusing them in every fashion possible. Sodomy, oral sex, beatings of all types. Everything had to be kept under wrapped. And these children became adults. Hundreds of them to this day have complete dysfunctional life addicted to alcohol, addicted to drugs. Many are homeless, and more than 25 could not bear living with all that tragedy in their subconscious mind, eating at them day after day. And like Gokulananda, the only way out that they saw was to kill themselves. It is important to understand that Swami Bhaktivedanta covered many of the terrible sexual abuse that happened in his own society. The suffering of the children of the Hare Krishna and the 25 who have committed suicide because they could not live with themselves anymore should not be forgotten. Think of that and think of them before you bow down before the picture or the statue of Swami Bhaktivedanta. Thank you very much.
Okay, so, wow. Just so you, for those of you out there, you're like, well, who was that guy? So he was an early disciple of Prabhupada. His name was Hanuman Swami, or something like that. He joined in the 60s, late 60s. Became a sannyasi, Swami, or whatever. Hanuman Swami, I think, whatever his name was. I'm not sure, but... And he was there. He was there in the like, I don't know, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73 maybe. And then he left. He figured it out early on, and he bounced out. But he was up there. He joined early, and then he joined early. He rose up. He was really like into it, and then he realized that Prabhupada was a fraud or whatever, and he left. And he some other spiritual thing that he's doing now. But anyway, he was there, so he knows firsthand what was going on. Hanuman Swami, yeah. Yeah, his videos are really good. If I think I have a link in the description, so you can go to his webpage, watch his videos. He's like a therapist or something. He's like a cult therapist guy. He knows a lot more about stuff than I am. I'm just your average ex-cult member. But I've watched a lot of his videos. I think the guy's really, really good. But he understands it pretty much like I do. It's all Prabhupada. It's in his books. Prabhupada's to blame for everything. They want to hold Prabhupada up as this perfect guy who created everything and set everything in motion. He's perfect and all this, and then everything that's shitty about it, they want to pretend like that's not, like that Prabhupada had nothing to do with that. Like Prabhupada had nothing to do with domestic violence in ISKCON. Prabhupada had nothing to do with the racism in ISKCon. Prabhupada had nothing to do with the child abuse in ISKCon. Prabhupada had nothing to do with the child marriage in ISKCon. Prabhupada had everything to do with every aspect of ISKCON. Like Jagadish says when he's talking about the schools, the Guru, he says, we were doing exactly what Prabhupada said to do. He created the schools. He told us how to run the schools. He told us how to teach the kids, how to discipline the kids, how to do everything. Prabhupada he set everything in motion. What time to wake up in the morning, what hand to wipe your ass with, how many raisins to have for breakfast, how many raisins, how many peanuts, how many slices of banana, and how much yogurt you should have in the morning. How to wear your kopins, how to tie a dhoti. This is all coming from Prabhupada. How to put your tilak on. If you didn't put your tilak on exactly the way Prabhupada, they would tell you, hey, Prabhupada never did that. If a devotee came into the temple room and had like Ramanuja tilak with a big V, and red stuff in the middle, or too much on their nose, and that's not, Prabhupada didn't do that. Or if a devotee came in and had like a beard, everybody would say, Prabhupada never wore a beard, why are you wearing a beard? Or whatever it was. Prabhupada never did that. Everything down to drinking 7-Up. Prabhupada liked this, then I have to eat that. Prabhupada's favorite fruit was papaya. Well, then I guess I better eat a lot of papaya. It's so fucking cult mentality, where everything Prabhupada said, do this, do that. At 5 o'clock you're going to do this. At 6 o'clock you're going to do that. At 7 o'clock you're going to have Guru Puja. Guru Puja is going to end at 7:22. He wrote out every single fucking thing to do every moment of the day. This is what you should be doing. And you think he just let them do whatever they wanted in the school? He had it all planned out. But he didn't give a fuck about the kids. So he's like, okay, get the kids up at 3 o'clock in the morning. Take them to the temple room so they can chant. Then take them back to the room and give them a banana and some oatmeal. And then take them into the classroom and teach them their ABCs. Teach them how to write Sanskrit. He had these kids learning Sanskrit. Why the fuck are you teaching a 5-year-old kid in Dallas, Texas, Sanskrit? Anyway, take them to the school and teach them Sanskrit for an hour, and then read Krishna book to them for an hour. And then after that, you take them outside, let them run around and pretend they're Krishna and Balaram for an hour. Then you're going to take them back inside and let them take a nap. And then you wake them up and give them another banana or something. Prabhupada had it all figured out. And Jagadish said in the court, we're doing exactly what he said to do. How can you blame us? He's a Canadian hypnotherapist. Yeah, he's really good at exposing what was going on. And like I said, he recognizes that it's all Prabhupada. And Prabhupada brainwashed these guys early on, so that by the time Prabhupada set up his schools and incorporated ISKCON, and he had some temples opening up, he had these guys brainwashed, hardcore. They were just as racist as he was. You look at these conversations that Prabhupada was having with these guys in the late 60s, like 68, 69. That's only a few years after he got here. He got here in 65. It's only 3-4 years. In 3-4 years, he had these guys so fucking racist and sexist and rude and belligerent, and they were just like the biggest assholes, just like him. Insulting that woman that was trying to interview him. He didn't like the questions that she was asking. Well, they're just ordinary, normal questions that anybody would ask. Why the fuck you running around in a Rolls Royce? Why is there so much racism and sexism in your movement? Prabhupada didn't want to hear that. He wanted to hear what does Hare Krishna mean? When did, blah blah blah, like oh, Swamiji, when did you become the enlightened one? Are you really Buddha? He wanted to hear all this stuff about how great he was. He didn't want to hear, like, why are you riding around in a limousine? Why are you riding around in a Rolls Royce? Why are your disciple? Why do they treat you like God? What do you do with all this money that they give you? These are just normal questions that anybody would ask. Not, and she's writing for a newspaper, so naturally she wants to know. She's writing an article for the New York Times or the Pennsylvania Gazette or whatever newspaper she's writing for. She's just asking, and she wasn't being rude or anything. She's asking. She said, I see that your disciples picked you up at the airport in a pretty fancy Rolls Royce. Can you explain that? And you get all pissed off. Started accusing her of being envious and all this and that. You have a small brain, and women have small brain, and women are less intelligent, and blah, blah, blah. And then his disciples jump in and go, yeah, look at her. Her brain is small. What the fuck is that? The fuck is that? And I'll tell you, I was brainwashed too, because when I was watching that video and listening to that tape, I was like, oh, listen to Prabhupada. He's really handling this woman. She's being all rude to him, and look at he's really handling her. That's what I thought. I was brainwashed. That's because I was listening to it with other Hare Krishnas, and we were all sitting around going, yeah, Prabhupada is so friggin'. Prabhupada just tells it like it is, man. Prabhupada just tells it like it is. He doesn't pull no punches. And then when I listened to it, after I left the Hare Krishnas one day, I was like, man, Prabhupada's an asshole. Prabhupada is a real asshole. Treating that woman like that. He's supposed to be the spiritual leader of this spiritual movement that's supposed to save the world and spread love of God. And here he's sitting there talking like a fucking asshole, telling her that she's got a small brain, women are stupid, his disciples are belligerent, and they're assholes too. And he wants to be and he's trying to be like the spiritual guy that's going to give knowledge to the world. And she's sitting there probably going, what the fuck is this? Calling her stupid, calling her less intelligent. Oh, look, her brain, it must be getting bigger. Her little brain's getting How fucking insulting is that? Prabhupada had these guys brainwashed into being just as big an asshole as he was. Just in a matter of a couple years. And luckily this guy could see it, and he bounced out, just like I eventually saw it and I bounced out too. And if you're out there and you're in this cult, you can bounce out too. All you got to do, go to YouTube and just type in, just go to YouTube. I'll even show you. I'm going to do you a favor and I'm going to show you. Okay, you go to YouTube and just type in ISKCON child abuse. That's all. ISKCON child abuse. And you will get all these videos, this stuff. You'll get personal accounts. You'll get videos that have been produced by different news medias, different news media, different podcasts talking to different victims of child abuse, devotees that have left the movement, videos about gurus that have abused children, things about Prabhupada and child marriage and so many things about child abuse and child marriage and Krishna brainwashing and all so much stuff. Anyone can go and just and you can listen to people like me and people that were gurus that are no longer gurus, people that were just in and bounced out. You can child abuse and corruption, women that have been abused and are brainwashed and are still in. You can read about murder and devotees. You can see other videos that I've done. You can find so much stuff about what this pedophile cult is really about and what they've done and how they've harmed so many people. And you can just it's so easy. There's no excuse for anyone. There's no excuse for anyone to not be aware of what this cult does and is doing and what they've done. There's no excuse for anyone to not know what this cult has done. How many people lives have been destroyed and ruined and harmed. How many people have been harmed, lives taken, devotees murdered, women raped, children abused. You can see it all on the internet for yourself. And because I know a lot of people don't have time to go do this and research and look, you can come and I can give you a quick, and you can go see my videos whenever you don't have to. You can just go and check out my videos. You don't have to go, but it's there. It's not like it's a secret. It's not like I know secret stuff. It's not like I have insider information or connection. No, it's all there for anyone to see. And then you can also search the books, and you can see all the crap for yourself, all the shit that he said, all the shit that they've said. You can look it all up for yourself. You can look up Bhagavad Gita chapter 3 verse 9 or chapter 9 verse 3, whatever it is. You can look all that stuff up. You can see the Bhagavatam where Prabhupada promotes child marriage. You can see it for yourself. You can read it, where he says 11-year-old girls must be married to 24-year-old men. And now you try to tell me that that doesn't mean that 11-year-old girls must be married to 20, or 16-year-old girls must be married to men, or girls must be married before they reach puberty. You try and tell me that means something other than what he's saying. Or you read where he says women like to be raped, and he explains what rape is, and that women like it. And then you try and tell me that he doesn't say that. Or you read the books where he talks about black people, the Negroes, and then you try and tell me that he's not racist. Seriously. Read where he talks about women. Women are less intelligent. Women are 9 times lustier than men. Women shouldn't be educated. Women just need to raise children and cook and clean, and they don't need to go to school. And women should not be trusted. And there's 3 things in the world that you can beat: a drum, a dog, and a woman. You read all of those things that Prabhupada says about women, and then you tell me he's not a sexist, friggin' woman-hating asshole. Read this stuff. Read it for yourself. And then you come into my chat and try and tell me, oh, he doesn't say that. Oh, it doesn't say that. I challenge anyone. Come in and tell me where I'm wrong. Where I got it wrong. Where he's not saying that black people are drunkards when he says that black people are drunkards. He's not saying that black people don't read and that they'll just go to the library to drink when he says that black people will just go to the library to drink. I mean, Prabhupada explains everything, simple language that anybody can understand. And if there's anything that needs explaining, Prabhupada explains it. Anyone can go. Anyone can go watch these videos. Anyone can go and read his books. Go online, do this research yourself, and come back and tell me where I'm wrong. Explain to me how this is not a pedophile cult. Tell me how they are not protecting predators. Explain to me how his books are not full of BS and bullshit. So I'm going to end it here. I've been going on for too long. I'm upset. Like I always get upset with this crap. It's just so much crap. Especially protecting these pedophiles and these predators. Protecting them. Enabling them. Not notifying the community. Having a restaurant, a Govindas restaurant, where the people working in the restaurant can be sexual predators. Your kid can get up and go to the restroom and get molested in the restroom, and you think that I'm joking about that. You think that I'm just exaggerating. I am not exaggerating. You go to Venice Beach to the Hare Krishna festival down there, and you lose track of your kid for 2 seconds. Don't be surprised your kid doesn't go, "Hey, that guy over there was touching me." Or that guy over there tried to lure me into the restroom. Or that guy over there tried to lure me. Don't be surprised. I know it sounds crazy. You go, Hare Krishna, Venice Beach? All right, hey, thanks for joining me. And share, and subscribe to my videos, so people can be aware of what they're getting into. They can be aware of what they're getting into online. They can be aware of what they're getting into when they go to like a Govindas restaurant or a Bhakti center or Bhakti-Yoga center or the Krishna temple, a Krishna festival. People need to know. If people knew, if enough people knew, these Hare Krishnas wouldn't go anywhere. We could shut them down. People wouldn't join. Their temples would close up. They rely on people coming in and donating and to keep their business going and keep their temples open. And if people stop going to their Sunday feast, stop buying their books, stop going to their restaurants, we could shut this cult down and save a lot of kids from getting molested and being harmed, and parents putting their kids in these concentration camps they call Gurukul. So I'm gonna end it there. I'm gonna say goodbye. Thank you everyone for watching. Thank you for sharing, and subscribing, getting the word out about this cult. I'm going to try and get back to doing these like every single day so I can just get the algorithm up so my videos will get out and more people can see them and more people can be warned and know what this Krishna cult is all about. So thanks again, everybody. And let's take a look at one of my promos. Let's see. What do we got here?
และกลับเข้าสู่ My Madhouse ทาง ISKCON
I'm smart, not like everybody says. But dumb, I'm smart, and I want respect.
I'm staying. Finishing my coffee. Enjoying my coffee.
And now, more of Mike's Madhouse on BKK1Radio.com.
Glitter, baby. There's more here than meets the eye. Yes, who?
It's Mike's Madhouse on BKK1Radio.com.
And now it's time for the Dumb American on Mike's Madhouse.
Man, I can't believe we can't find no grass nowhere, man.
That's because too many people are smoking it. It really makes it tough on the rest of us.
Yeah.
Back to dope tunes and stupid talk with White Boy Mike on Mike's Madhouse.
Attention all units, attention all units, this is Sergeant Stadenko. Attention all units, this is Sergeant Stadenko. We are changing from a Code 3 direct pursuit to a Code 347. Completely lost due to incompetence.